So it's been a while since I checked in on CCN. Let's go over to their page and, Review bombing Doom Eternal isn't going to do anything. Published on May 17th, just 2 days after they published Doom Eternal's awful anti-cheat software can wreck your computer. Which is an op-ed for some reason. Am I the only one who's realized that news sites really don't know what op-ed means anymore? Like, sites are constantly publishing op-eds as news, and then they have news as op-eds. Like, start actually using op-ed accurately, for the love of God. In response to problems with Doom Eternal, fans have taken to review bombing the game on Steam. Past incidents of review bombing have proven ineffective at impacting game sales. Review bombing is more about gamer therapy than anything else. I love it when we see this. This happens all the time. Whenever there's a new game that gets review bombed or a company does something shady, you always have news sites and game journalists coming to the defense of the game and the publisher and the developer. Because it's just impossible for the gamers to be right about something for once. Like, what's the deal with that? You commit your life to game journalism, but you have such a low opinion of gamers. Like, what are you doing in this profession? Also, I want to point out that review bombing has proven ineffective at impacting game sales. Aside from that just not being accurate, and we'll get into that a little later, that's also not the point, because in order to leave a review on a game, you have to have already bought the game. The point of review bombing is to make a statement to the developer, to the publisher, and to the other people who are looking at maybe buying the game. Impacting sales, yeah, that's part of it, but it's not the whole thing. And again, we'll get into this a little later, but what you say here about it not impacting game sales is just not true. Doom Eternal has its problems. The soundtrack has been messed with, and they've added some terrible anti-cheat software, but that doesn't mean you should review bomb it. That's right, you should just sit here and be fine with it. You should just sit here and deal with borderline spyware breaking your computer. Something that you guys wrote an article about 48 hours before this article. I get that not everyone at every news site is going to be in communication with each other, especially not during times like this, but holy crap, a little coordination here would have made both of your articles a little bit better. Don't get me wrong, Bethesda deserves the hate after the numerous anti-consumer acts they've pulled, but review bombing just isn't worth doing, mainly because it doesn't seem to affect game sales at all. So let me get this straight. Bethesda deserves the hate, but you shouldn't review bomb. What? Bethesda deserves the hate, but also don't hate on them. Like, how do you expect people to send a message? As consumers, we really don't have many options aside from user reviews and boycotts and, you know, you have Twitter and you have social media, but how many people are really going to see that? When a high-profile game does something shady and it's being sold through Steam, a service with a readily available and very obvious user score on the store page of every single game, review bombing makes a point very effectively. I've made a couple videos about review bombing in the past and my, opinions on it, so I won't get too much into that here. I'll leave a link down in the description if you want to see my opinions on review bombing. But whoever wrote this article, I forget who it was. I kind of don't really want to go check. They seem to have a pretty big misunderstanding of what our options actually are. You say Bethesda deserves the hate, but we shouldn't review bomb. What do you propose then? Typically, if you say to someone that their actions are justified but still bad, it would be helpful if you gave an alternative. Because when you say the actions are justified but we still shouldn't do it, that's really not a good argument. Like, regardless of context, that's just kind of a weak argument. No matter how annoyed you are with Doom Eternal, review bombing is a pointless exercise. Time and time again, review bombing has been shown to have no tangible effect on sales. In fact, due to the Streisand effect, it might even boost sales. Here, listen to this, I'm gonna crack my fingers. Oh boy, let's go. Review bombing is a pointless exercise. Interesting, because 3 days after this article went live, id Software announced they're backpedaling the anti-cheat due to backlash. Oh, but I'm not done. So they say review bombing has been shown to have no tangible effect on sales, and then they link to this article from PC Gamer from June of 2017. Aside from the fact that you're sourcing something from 3 years ago for a debate happening now, not a great look. It probably, 3 years ago, it's not that long ago, but, you would think that there would be more modern examples of this. But anyways, as a source to this claim, they link to this article from PC Gamer. Holy shit. You hear that? I live like 2 miles from a joint training base, but that always catches me by surprise. But anyways, as their source for this claim, they link to this article from PC Gamer, which was talking about an instance where Nier Automata got review bombed by Chinese gamers due to the game not actually having Chinese localization, despite being advertised as such, which is a perfectly legitimate grievance. The article also lists a couple instances where games got review bombed due to some shady shit going on with the developers or the publishers, but then they saw an increase in sales. However, both of these games where that happened, Payday 2 and Ark, they were kind of old hat games at the time, and an increase in sales for a game like that is kind of hard to gauge when the game is so cheap and the player base isn't as big as it used to be. I'm not saying it's not significant, I'm just saying it's hard to actually weigh how much something like this matters and how connected it is to everything else. However, what I find especially interesting about this PC Gamer article is that they also list 2 instances where review bombing directly led to positive change. They cite Take-Two Interactive shutting down OpenIV modding in GTA 5 and Crusader Kings 2 jacking up its price, and both instances got the games review bombed and both actions were reversed by the publishers. So in this article that CCN links as support of their claim that review bombing doesn't do anything, there's actually evidence that review bombing does do something. I keep telling you guys, CCN is an absolute goldmine of just amateur games journalism. Even the articles that look okay on the surface always have something like this in the details. I've never seen someone link a source to the opposing argument and then use it as evidence for their argument. Like, did you not expect anyone to actually check your sources? Are you that bad at reading comprehension that you didn't think someone would catch this? You're literally arguing the opposing side with your own sources. Anyways, let's just keep going with this stupid article. In many ways, though, hurting sales isn't really the point. Wow, we're how many paragraphs into this article and you're just now bringing that up? I expect that most people who review bomb a game are doing so to vent their frustrations. It's not like players have any other outlet besides shouting into the void of social media. Again, so what are you proposing? You say the hate is justified, you say the frustration is justified, and you say we shouldn't review bomb. So what are we supposed to do? Are we just supposed to sit here and spread our legs and take it? I'm not gonna do that. Most people aren't gonna do that. But that's essentially what you're proposing. Honestly, the best thing that annoyed gamers can do is stop playing Doom Eternal. If Bethesda notices a massive drop in players, they're much more likely to realize that a big mistake was made in the game's development. Not to mention they might actually fix it, though I wouldn't hold your breath. Oh my god, you're so out of touch. First of all, let's just get the obvious one out of the way. They did fix it. They did fix it. But anyways, the best thing that you can do is stop playing Doom Eternal after you've already paid for it. Bethesda's Bethesda. They don't care about concurrent players in Doom Eternal. It's not a multiplayer game. That's why people were so mad about this anti-cheat. And there's another one going by. Do you hear that? Freedom is loud. Yes, there is a multiplayer component to Doom Eternal, but it is first and foremost a single player game. The main selling point of Doom Eternal is the single player. The multiplayer is very casual, it's not very serious, and that's why people were so appalled at this extremely intrusive anti-cheat being added to the game post-launch, because they know they would not have gotten away with this if they launched with it. So the best thing you can do is stop playing Doom Eternal. They already have my money. They don't care if I stop playing. No, Bethesda cares if you can prevent or dissuade other people from buying the game. That's why review bombing is effective, especially in this situation. And that's why what was done was effective. They did change. It seems to me that the author of this article just has some kind of vendetta against review bombing, and I can't understand why. It seems like every games journalist has a vendetta against review bombing, and they can never give a decent reason why. The fight against Doom Eternal is futile. We've already let big game companies get away with too much. They've pushed anti-consumer moves hard and have gotten away with it. They continue to make an insane amount of cash. Again, what are you proposing? You see people review bombing a game and trying to convince other people not to buy it. And your response to that is we should still buy it, but then not play it anymore. This is exactly how companies get away with anti-consumer stuff. They launch a game in a good condition, and then post-launch, they add the stuff that would have pushed you away from it in the first place. This is how they get away with it. Every big company does this now. We know review bombing isn't going to do anything. Voting with your wallet won't do anything either, mainly because there's not enough people to do it. It's disheartening to think about the number of times companies have pulled these tricks and come out on top. Yeah, and you seem to have a good play-by-play of what's going to make them keep doing it. At the end of the day, Doom Eternal is just another game for the pile. Another experience potentially ruined by pointless rubbish tacked on by terrible publishers. It almost makes you want to turn your back on the gaming industry. Boy, oh boy. Also, super off topic, but I just saw it again. What is this screenshot that they use for the thumbnail? Like, you couldn't even get a gameplay screenshot for the green screen there. I understand that not everyone knows everything. Not everyone follows everything. But my frustration with this article doesn't even really come from my frustration with Bethesda, because that's largely behind us. Our point has been made. We won. The decisions were reversed. We won. My frustrations here are with CCN. Shocker, CCN still does not understand gaming, despite calling itself a gaming news platform. What is with the vendetta so many games journalists have with review bombing? And again, if you're going to say that review bombing is justified but we still shouldn't do it, you need to tell us why, and you need to give alternatives. You know, vaccinations are proven to be really effective and they keep you from getting sick and they're good for your children, but you shouldn't take them. What? Oh, wait, why shouldn't I get vaccinated? Oh, because I don't like it. That's you, CCN. That's you right now. That's you. Stop being that. I'm just going to keep making videos about you.
What the fuck was that? Ah!